Hello Access, my name's Nathan Dighton and I'm here with Robert Pearson.
Hello.
And we are here to answer some of your questions about The Last of Us. The review embargo for The Last of Us has gone up today, so all the reviews, you can read them all around the web. It's got a 10 in places like Official PlayStation Magazine and Edge Magazine. And Rob, you've done your own review, haven't you? A verdict.
My verdict, yes.
So you can watch that on our channel as well. But going a bit deeper than that, we have solicited your questions on Twitter and Facebook, and me and Rob are here to answer some of them.
We are.
So let's get started. Rob, James X on Twitter asks, is there many scary moments or is the game heavily reliant on action, hoping it's pretty jumpy at least?
Well, there are some jumpy bits, but overall, if you compare it to something like a Dead Space, which is very jumpy and very scary in the sense that it's a very dark game, the enemies are very scary, then I don't think it's like that. It's more like a kind of heavy, overbearing sense of tension.
Yeah,
throughout the entire thing.
I think Dead Space is an interesting comparison. It is like Dead Space because it has got it's punctuated by there are a few moments of like proper jump scares.
It's not like a horror game though. It's not a horror game.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No.
But it is that tension that is quite a lot like Dead Space, I thought, and the fact that the enemies are really gruesome.
The enemies are gruesome, but I also found the tension doesn't come from just the enemies hunting you, which is very tense, but also because you care so much for the characters, you genuinely fear for them in that situation.
Absolutely.
And like the incidental detail you'll find in the world, like you'll find little stories dotted around the place about real people, families, how they used to live, like little diaries they leave behind, and then you go into those areas.
Man, those survivors notes.
Then you go into those areas and find infected, and you see what those people have become, and that in itself is scary. But in terms of does it rely on action? I don't think so.
No, but at the
not
same time it's
action-packed,
scary.
is it?
It's tense in those situations, not just because you care about the characters, but because also the combat's so well designed, especially against the infected, that it's genuinely scary. Like the way you approach it, the way you get into the combat, the way they kind of, when they see you, once they've seen you, you need to know what you're doing and what you're about and what equipment you have. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
And the fact that you don't have much ammo ever.
No,
and that quite often the only way to get past something is to get up close to it and smack it with a pipe or stick a piece of glass in its neck.
Yeah. The Last of Us. So yes, it is both. It's not that many jump scares, some, but it is very scary all the way through, I would say. Brad Williams on Facebook asks, will this game have the same feel as Uncharted, like the shooting, climbing and overall gameplay? To which the answer is no.
Sort of. in the sense of like the movement of the characters, the way it's very smooth. There's no break in animation when you clamber over something. It's very smoothly designed and polished. But I don't think that's an Uncharted thing. That's just Naughty Dog being really
You can
good.
see it's kind of got the same DNA, right?
Yeah,
like,
same DNA. The shooting is works the same. It's got the same mechanics. But
when you first pull out the gun, you kind of get the little reticule. You're like, oh, it's a bit like Uncharted, and then you can't hit anything because it's so much more realistic. Getting a headshot's really hard, and you kind of think it's not really. So don't expect to be running around like jumping on stuff, leaping from cliff face to cliff face.
No.
That does not happen. It's a lot more. It's like an almost more realistic version if everyone hadn't turned into mushrooms.
It's slower, more deliberate, and there's lots of like not downbeat, but kind of pauses in between action sections where you'll explore.
Absolutely.
A lot of it is just walking around the world and seeing what it's become.
I guess comparison with Uncharted, there are it's the same level of kind of performance and cinematic presentation, but instead of watching a blockbuster like a matinee, adventure movie, you're watching like a serious horror movie, or not even a horror movie, like a serious apocalyptic drama like The Road,
but
or No Country for
a lot
Old Men.
better.
See, and these are the things that Naughty Dog said, so it's almost silly for us to just regurgitate them. But then you play the game and you're like, oh, it is like The Road, and it is as good as No Country for Old Men. It's that good.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say this.
Mimsy Moo.
Oh, of course, yeah, that's how you say it. Mimsy Moo tweets us to ask, is multiplayer like Mass Effect? It's not in space. Players versus bots, or is it PvP with some zombies thrown in to make things more interesting?
Well, I've not played much of the multiplayer, so I think this is over to you.
Well,
Nathan.
I will answer this, and in a moment I will tell you why the multiplayer is like FIFA leagues online. Yes,
FIFA.
But obviously it's not, and it's not like Mass Effect either, because it's PvP. It's kind of deathmatch based, 4 players. There are 2 central modes.
4 players on each team.
Yes, 4v4 in a kind of different sections, which I think mostly were taken from areas from the single player, like the dam, which I'm sure you'll recognise, means nothing to you guys yet. and you have a ticket system in the main mode, supply raid, where you have 20 lives basically spread across your team, and they're kind of every 2 minutes there's kind of a respawn. So anyone who's died on your team in that time comes back out, and you use up those tickets. And the first team to run out obviously loses. And then there's one just called Survivor, and that is again 4-on-4. But once you're dead, that's it for the round. That one is tense. But the reason it's like FIFA Leagues, obviously, is that there's a kind of a meta, like an arcing, persistent story. Because that's the thing about multiplayer with The Last of Us. When we all first heard about it, it's kind of like, Naughty Dog are really trying hard to make this game. The performances are amazing. It's all about this atmosphere and how the gameplay ties into the story. And then you kind of go, and we're doing multiplayer. But what they've done is they've taken that setting, and they have you either align yourselves with the hunters from the single player, the kind of the bad humans, or the Fireflies, these militia guys, and you have like a 12-week arc, which is a bit like a 5-game season on FIFA Leagues in each division, and the points that you kind of accrue in each of those matches, doesn't matter how often you play or who you're playing against, you get the same amount, and they stack up to the kind of keeping your faction of survivors alive in your 12-week cycle. So it's a bit like you collect like tins of food and stuff, and how many points you do, the more points you get, the more beans you get. That's
Just like in FIFA.
just like FIFA, yeah, with the Molotovs.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about it, the good thing about it, is we are going to get involved. We're going to make some videos about it. The third-person combat from the single player, which gets very deep and very stealthy, and is all about gathering resources, crafting things as you go, and then using them to, kill dudes. That translates brilliantly to player-on-player combat, especially finding, obviously there's like more of a risk to running around and picking up items, but then you can craft stuff like Molotovs and smoke bombs, and they're really powerful against other people. That was the thing, I didn't know whether they were definitely going to be powerful against other people in the same way they are against the AI in the single-player game, but they are. We'll be doing more about that, but yeah, watch out for the multiplayer, which is not like Mass Effect, but is like FIFA, sort of.
There you go.
Follow me. Whole goddamn town's booby trapped. Best stay right on my ass.
Can't miss it.
Knock it off.
Also on Twitter, Luke over there wants to know, what is the most gruesome death you have seen? I assume he means in the game.
Well, I had one last night actually, where I was just in a house. And this wasn't even a set piece, this was just a man in a house. And I was creeping up on him, and I decided instead of strangle him, I would shoot him in the face with a shotgun.
Oh, nice.
And a quarter of his face from about here just kind of came off and flew into the wall, and that left a big blood stain on the wall, and the rest of him just kind of fell into a cabinet, and his face hit the cabinet, and more blood came out and went over the cabinet, and he just slowly slid down.
Well, he did
with
ask,
blood everywhere.
That is
and
horrible.
I looked at his face close up, and he just had like quarter of his face missing, and the rest was all mangled.
You were telling me
But
actually,
it was brilliant.
when you were playing
so
the
some
game,
artist has actually done that, has made that face.
you were saying how
Well done.
impressed you were that they had made the gore so realistic
Yeah.
for each of the. And you kind of say, why does it make the game better and what does it do? And it does. It like the violence. It's not like showy. It's not like it's something. Nathan Drake in Uncharted, the amount of people he kills, and you just kind of go, yeah, that's fine. But in this game, it really makes you think about what you're doing. You've got so few bullets. That means, that is like going out and having a posh dinner using a shotgun shell on a man's face when you could have strangled him.
A luxury kill.
Yeah, exactly. And every kill counts. And the violence, and it is gruesome and it is graphic, but it's for a reason. Again, it ties into kind of the drama in the story.
Yeah, well, it kind of like, heightens the fact that the people you're killing, when they're people, are, at the end of the day, just trying to survive.
Exactly.
Like you are.
Yeah,
They're not
especially
that
like
bad.
Joel's been on both sides of the
Yeah.
fence, as he says. Oscar on Twitter says, would you recommend playing it on hard? I play most games on medium, that's my level, but this seems different.
Don't play on hard. Not straight away.
I don't know.
Nate, we've got differing opinions
do,
on this.
yeah.
I found it hard enough on medium. I found it enough of a challenge on medium. And I'm a player who
Don't get me-
I like the story. That's the main thing I like about The Last of Us. I
Yeah.
loved going through, when I get to an area that takes me like 4 or 5 plus times to try and get through it, that just tends to frustrate me. And I think if I played it on hard, if you're playing it for the first time, if you play it on hard, you will find sections where you fail quite a number of times. And if you like that, then by all means play it on hard. But
get on
if you want the story, if you want to not be taken out, because that's one of the main problems I have with story games, when you're doing a set piece and you fail it over and over again. That
It's like you're frustrating how the story should go.
Like the set piece has lost its punch really
Because of
because
you.
you've seen it a million times.
That's true. I maybe do The other point to make, well, the reason I would say play it on hard at all is because I got to maybe 3/4 of the way through, and the combat system at first, it's really kind of abrupt and improvised, and you're running around, and it feels really hectic. But once you get good at it, and you do get good at it, it's just so much. It's fun. It's a really deep system, and so you're creeping around. It's a really good stealth system, and especially against the humans, the clickers and the infected are slightly less predictable. But against the humans, I was clearing. I would there's an option to restart the current encounter, and I would use that if I got stuff wrong. And it was like a huge enjoyment in taking people out without using any resources or deploying my resources. Like using my bow, I would use smoke and like beat 2 men to death with a pole. And by the end, I was thinking I was so good at it. And I don't think it's just me by any means. I think everyone's going to get that good at it. But I was thinking I'd love it if the AI was if I felt a bit more on edge the whole time. But then, so maybe play it twice. I mean, that was the first thing I did when I finished the game was started a new one on hard. So you could just do that. Finally, Daniel Scales tweets us to ask, are there any donut characters?
Like Donut Drake.
Like Donut Drake, yeah. Which I'm going to let you answer, because you found something I didn't find, which is annoying.
Yeah, I didn't. No, there's no donut characters that I found yet, but I did find.
It's the apocalypse. No one's got enough food to become a donut character.
If you look around, I really recommend doing this as well. Look around everywhere you can, every nook and cranny, because there's so much detail packed in there. There's so much story you will pick up in little incidental details like children's artwork on walls, and go into houses. Yeah, go into houses and look through people's diaries and stuff. But in one of them, I did find a little nod to previous games that Naughty Dog has made.
Were they in the same room?
Yes.
There was 2 separate things, weren't they? But so it's like a Naughty Dog's bedroom's fan. No,
yeah.
You know what I mean.
A bedroom of a child who was a Naughty Dog fan. Obviously, some of the things they've got in there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Reference previous Naughty Dog games, so keep your eyes peeled for that. There are Easter eggs in there if you look hard enough.
Yes, cool. Thanks for watching. Do play The Last of Us. Do watch Rob's video about The Last of Us. Let us know what you think about the game in the comments, and also put any other questions that you have that you want us to answer down there, and we might answer them in the comments. Like the video because you should, because we're nice, and subscribe to access on YouTube.
Bye.
Bye.